Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode of Radio Horror's Film Dungeon Commentary. I am your host, Dr. Chris, and tonight we are talking about the 1990s horror slasher film Urban Legend. And joining me for this episode of Film Dungeon Commentary is...
MIKAYLA, Nicole. Hi.
From what? You should give away like the website you work for.
From Cryptic Rock.
There you go. And they're a rock review metal vinyl site, right?
Yes, we review everything from, like you said, like metal to horror and everything in between.
Awesome. We are going to watch the film Urban Legend, which was directed by Jamie Blanks, and go over some of the awesome things about the movie that we love, and stuff about the film that we don't love, and factoids about some of the actors that pop up, which is a plethora of actors. I actually got to meet somebody. I didn't have my copy for him to sign, but he gave me some information about the movie, which I will share here on the episode podcast YouTube channel. So make sure your movie is set to 0000 across, and hit the play button, as MIKAYLA and I are going to do now. So if it's off by a second, that's okay. But the cloud should be coming in, the light should be shining, and cue the unicorn, whatever the hell he is, Pegasus. He said unicorn. The Pegasus horse, the Sony Pictures Entertainment TriStar logo guy. So, okay. So whenever I see the matchstick, it kind of reminds me of Are You Afraid of the Dark, the Nickelodeon show.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not. But every time I see this movie, I'm like, oh, so Are You Afraid of the Dark's logo? No, it's not. It's Phoenix Pictures, which I don't know anything about.
This movie just kind of invokes that like nostalgic feel that Are You Afraid of the Dark kind of has.
Right, definitely. And thank God there's only like two companies that made this movie, TriStar and Phoenix Pictures, because sometimes that can be annoying.
Yeah, because like that was one of my favorite shows growing up.
This movie had a budget of $14 million and grossed in the United States $38 million, and grossed in total overseas and the United States $75 million.
Nice.
Phoenix Pictures was also responsible for such films as Zodiac, Shutter Island, Black Swan, Footloose, Lake Placid, Holes, The Thin Red Line, Urban Legend, the movie we're watching, What to Expect When You're Expecting, The Sixth Day, The People vs. Larry Flint, Urban Legend's Final Cut, Dick, Apt Pupil, Stealth, Basic, Pathfinder, and so many more. So, we have music by Christopher Young, who, if you're not familiar with who he is one of these composers I don't think gets quite the love that he deserves. His filmography has quite the extensive list on it. I almost had it here. Now, I wonder where they shot this movie. Do you know where they shot this film?
I am not sure.
Why don't we look up where the college is while I'm looking up information about Christopher Young, the composer?
Yeah.
Because that's where most of the film is set. That's what you get, you dumb bitch, for not paying attention while you're driving. Okay, so he also
feel bad for some of the deaths in this movie, because it's just like you kind of walked into it
a little bit. So he also composed music for Sinister, Swordfish, Entrapment, Drag Me to Hell, The Empty Man, Pet Sematary last year, Deliver Us from Evil, and so many more.
Oh wow, some great ones on that list. Let's see. It was filmed in Canada.
Are you familiar with the song that she's singing?
Oh, Total Eclipse of the Heart?
Yes.
Yes.
A total eclipse of the heart. Okay, so we've all seen this movie. If you haven't seen this movie before listening to this commentary, go watch the fucking movie. But she's one of the people responsible for the death of the serial killer's boyfriend. She was one of the four girls in the car that was having a drunk driving experience, and they accidentally killed the boyfriend of our serial killer. So the serial killer's actions are almost justified. Almost.
Right? Kind of like, you had it coming. It was either going to be, through the justice system or through, in this case...
But But in
a
the case of
crazy
this in
girlfriend.
the case of this movie, Michaela, unlike I Know What You Did Last Summer, where they covered up their death, they actually went to court and they were
Yeah.
acquitted because of their minor status. How much do you think the gas is? $1.14 a gallon. This actor is fantastic. I believe his name is. I think he's just gas station attendant, but he has like a speech problem. Excuse me. And of course, he sees in the back seat, what's going
Yeah.
on. But I gotta look him up real quick because his name always escapes me. But he's one of
Brad
those.
Dourif.
That's Brad Dorff? Okay, that's right. It is Brad
Yeah.
Dorff. Okay. It's funny. I just got done watching his episode of The X Files, the one where Scully's father dies.
Uh huh.
So he
But it's
sees in the
also
back
nice because like
seat.
her
He sees
her
in the.
name in the movie, the main girl, like well, her name is Michelle Mancini, and so like I think a lot of people were saying that like her last name was a nod to Don Mancini, the guy responsible for the Child's Play films.
Oh,
So it's kind of
interesting.
nice to have her interacting with Brad Dourif right now.
Yeah, and of course, this has another famous icon in it of horror cinema, which we will get to when he finally appears. But was gas really
Well,
$1.14 a gallon in when did this move? 1998? I remember gas
yeah.
being under $1 in 1998. This was a big time of year for Brad Dorff because he did this, he did Bride of Chucky, and he did
Uh huh.
Alien Resurrection.
Like he was pretty much killing it right now.
That has to be one of the most treacherous scenes of the film. I remember reading about it and hearing about it in the bonus material. The rain machine, it was absolutely a pain in the ass. I was never afraid of parkas or Noxzema until I saw this movie. And off with her head. MIKAYLA? Tara Reid, star of the Sharknado films. I met her once. She was a very nice girl. I know she's had a lot of shitty things happen in her career, but overall,
Yeah.
I thought she was a very pleasant person to meet in person. I mentioned to her that my favorite piece of work from her was Urban Legend.
Really?
She has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. She has 17 different things in post production or pre production right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. I think originally Sarah Michelle Gellar was supposed to have Tara Reid's role, but then had to drop out because of conflicts with Buffy.
Buffy and Scream too.
Yeah.
And here we have Michael Rosenbaum, best known as playing Lex Luthor on Smallville. The
Yep.
the Flash, the speedster, the Flash on the Justice League animated TV cartoon series, and he's
Uh-huh.
currently the host of Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. He just posted his new episode where he interviews Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman.
Oh.
Were you surprised when I told you what the Noxzema girl is doing these days? She was just in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, playing Brad Pitt's wife. Also, this is about 3 years before Smallville, so it's still really weird to see him with a lot of hair. Because, Lex Luthor being bald.
Yeah.
And then, of course, who's that supervillain next to Lex Luthor? Jared Leto, the Joker from the Suicide Squad movie. And currently, Morbius the Living Vampire in the Marvel Comics Spider-Man film.
Ooh. Nice.
About 2 years away from being in a movie with another superhero, Batman, Christian Bale in American Psycho, which celebrates
Yep.
its 20th anniversary this year.
Gosh, it's so odd to think about it being that long ago. I remember baby me had a huge crush on Jared Leto in this film.
Have you seen the trailer for Morbius?
No, not yet.
Check it out online. At the end of the trailer, Michael Keaton's Vulture makes an appearance.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah, that was the big thing about that trailer, is that at the very end of the trailer, Michael Keaton's Vulture is in the trailer, and everyone lost their mind saying, yes, this is part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But it got pushed back to next year because of, the COVID-19 virus.
Yeah.
Rebecca Gayheart is so beautiful in this. Did you ever see the TV series Dead Like Me that she was on?
Yes, I used to love that series.
Okay, they're coming up on possibly my favorite character, played by the sexy as hell Danielle Harris as a goth chick. It's kind of funny considering that we know Rebecca Gayheart is the serial killer, and she has to be nice to the girl responsible for killing her boyfriend.
Right? It's just kind of like putting salt on the wound. But like it's also like it's okay because it's like all part of her master plan.
Right. Bloody Mary. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Candyman, 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 Candyman. What happens? Do I get gifts? Do I get candy? Do Beatles come out? No? Aw. Have you seen the trailer for the new Candyman?
Yes, and I'm so upset that we didn't get blessed with that movie this year because of Corona. That was probably like my most anticipated film for this year.
And what a relevant film in the wake of Black Lives Matter, huh?
Yes,
Oh, and of
and I
course,
feel like
here's babyface Joshua Jackson from the Creek, Dawson's
um,
Creek.
yeah, Dawson's Creek fans rejoice.
All right, I just pointed out everything about this movie, and what's the number one thing that some people do find wrong about this slasher film?
What?
What color is the entire cast?
Yeah, yeah. It's a little unfortunate.
Now, do you know who this is? Do you ever watch Supernatural?
Yes.
This is Julian Richings, who plays Death on Supernatural, or at least he did until he was replaced by Billy, the female version of the Grim Reaper, who is a black
Mhm.
woman now. But yeah, Julian played Death on Supernatural for 7 episodes. And he was
Yeah.
also in Man of Steel and Percy Jackson, and still working
Mhm.
today.
I
Oh
think
yeah,
a few of
this is
these
my favorite scene right
actors
here.
have been on episodes of Supernatural.
Right here, my favorite scene. Daniel Harris. Well, the back of Daniel Harris, but
Yeah.
did you ever have that problem with roommates before? One was fucking too loudly that you couldn't get to sleep?
Thankfully, no. I just had like I've only had like one terrible roommate experience. That was like my freshman year of college. And that was just because she was super messy and her friends were just too loud.
Oh, that sucks. Oh, and here is our other horror icon, Robert Englund, who was on Radio of
Yeah.
Horror this year. Yep,
Nice.
I got to have Robert Englund on my show talking about hauntings and scary stuff. Now, he is a professor of urban legends in this movie and talking about all the different kinds of urban legends. Do you have any urban legends in your town, or have you ever experienced any kind of urban legends yourself?
Oh yeah. I like my town exactly. The town next to us, Stokesdale, is famous for the Charlie Lawson murders. Charlie Lawson killed his entire family on Christmas Day. There was only one survivor. I believe it was it was either the eldest son or the eldest daughter, and they weren't home at the time.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, and like there was even like a book about it. It was like White Christmas, Bloody Christmas. It was insane. And then I started working at the local Pizza Hut.
Hold on one second. Robert Englund with glasses on, because I've never seen him with it, but in his later years he's had glasses. But I like him as this professor, which is kind of funny. So, but yeah, try your urban legend story now.
Yeah, well, her late husband was a Lawson, so he was related to them. And their old farmhouse still exists. Charlie Lawson is like buried up there. And then we have our own vanishing hitchhiker story, but I believe like every town has one of those.
So they're going to do the Pop Rocks test with the Pop Rocks and the soda, which was a long time belief that the kid from the Trix commercial, or the cereal box, the cereal commercial from the 80s, he did that and he died. But no, that's not true. And it's an urban legend that this would kill you.
Yeah, but this was the movie that like fueled my love for like local folklore and like urban legends and stuff as a kid.
I just love the fact that I grew up in a time period where the slasher boom just like exploded again, because this is 1998, so this is 2 years after Scream, and then like right after Scream 2, I Know What You Did Last Summer had just come out. Disturbing Minds had just come out, so a lot of these like CW pop star type of films, which a lot of people really gravitated to, because I mean, as much as I like Freddy, Jason, Michael, those were mostly in a time period I couldn't relate to too much, exception of like Jason Goes to Hell, that came out in the 90s, but still more of a product of the 80s. Paul Rudd's first movie, what his first movie was, right? Ant-Man.
Was it when he was in the Halloween film?
Yes, yeah, he was in Halloween. He was in Halloween 6.
Yeah, that one was such an odd one.
So, by the way, we do have a black actress in this movie. I totally forgot about her, and if you're listening to this, don't chop my head off. Loretta Devine plays Reese Wilson, the security guard.
Yes.
She plays the woman who's like infatuated with like 70s blaxploitation, action stars like Foxy Cleopatra, which I know Foxy Cleopatra is not a real character. That was Beyonce's character from the Austin Power movies, but I couldn't think of a black exploitation character off the top of my head, so excuse me. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, and she survived.
Yes, she does survive. I love Loretta Devine in movies. She is so feisty. She's so funny. I remember her in Crash, and if you remember ever watching Boston Public, she was a teacher on that show, and she's still working to this very day. She was in a bunch of stuff I've never seen before, but she was on Blackish, and I have watched Blackish.
Yeah, oh, I love that show.
That is a hilarious comedy show.
It really is. And I feel like I didn't really appreciate it until like maybe like in like the last couple of years when I finally started to like really watch it.
Well, I met who did I meet from that show? I can't remember. Well, it definitely wasn't Lawrence Fishburne, because I would talk about that story until the day I died. But I met somebody from that show, and I said, you guys do a show that's not, it's not bogged down in like, we need to make every show about like being black in America depressing. It's a fun show. It's a happy show. And they're like, yeah, that's the whole reason we wanted to do that show. We wanted to show, like, for every drama there is about a black family in America that's depressing, we were like, why don't we do one that's a sitcom and fun? And we still touch upon racism, but we make fun of it. And we make fun of stupid things or whatever in tropes. Like, they point out, why don't we celebrate Abraham Lincoln? We black. We celebrate Abraham Lincoln every day. Not Abraham Lincoln. Martin Luther King. That's who it was.
Yes. And like that's another reason why I love that show.
I was
like
dying. The Dean. The Dean. Who's the Dean? The Dean is somebody really cool. He's on the X-Files. That's John Neville. He played the well-manicured man on the X-Files. And he was doing double billing this year because he was in the X-Files movie where his character got killed off. He unfortunately died in 2011 at the age of 86 years old, but I absolutely loved him every time he ever appeared. He was also in The Fifth Element and The Adventures of Baron Moonshine.
Ooh.
But, yeah, going back to Blackish real quick. So the line is, the daughter asks the father, why don't we celebrate Martin Luther King Day? And he says, because we black. We celebrate it every day. And I was just like dying laughing listening to that or whatever. And that was the line that I said to the cast member I met. I cannot remember who it was. And she was just like, right, I love that line. And that's the entire focus of our show, is to be happy and not make a depressing show about, the trials and tribulations of racism sometimes,
Yes. Which is why it's so appreciated. Because it's like
she's like, make
every
fun of
black
it.
story is depressing. And it's just like, we need some happiness in this mix.
Like, don't watch The Wire if you want the worst, most depressing, story about being black in America, in my opinion. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, all right, and I'm talking about modern day people, modern day. We're not getting into history, but I'm talking about modern day. The Wire is one of the most depressing shows I've ever watched. So I absolutely love the decor and everything in this episode, and I'm always wondering, because I didn't go to a college in person, I went online, and like the decor, the seating, all of this stuff, is this what college life was like, or is this like CW college life?
This is definitely like movie college. Like, first of all, we can't have like fire hazards. So as much as I love
Daniel Harris
aesthetic, we can't have that in our dorm room.
The absolutely beautiful Daniel Harris as a goth girl once again.
Yes.
I've had,
like, as much as I would love to live like on her side of the dorm room, yeah, we were never able to do that in school.
I've had Daniel Harris on my show and met Daniel Harris in person. And, I was really able to talk to her one time when she was like completely alone in her booth. Nobody was going up to her. And I was just, I'd already met her once, but I came back over and I was like, can I ask you another question? She's like, yeah, sure. And I was like, Urban Legend. That's where I really got to know who you were. I don't think I had seen your Halloween films yet, but Urban Legend, your goth chick, made me fall in love with you in that movie because goth girls. Amazing. And she's like, oh my god, thank you. Did you, like, what was the set, like, don't talk about the way you were, but talk about the set decorating. She told me, like, all these stories about the set decorating, and that was so much fun. But the person I actually had a really great, intimate conversation about Urban Legend with was a couple of years ago at Rhode Island Comic Con, right, Michael Rosenbaum, because I wanted to talk to him about his podcast, and I brought up Urban Legend. And he talked about, like, he had just gotten the memo about this Superman show possibly starting up when they were doing the film tour for Urban Legend. So he's like, that's the last time you'll see me with hair before Superman, because I think he did what's the drag queen movie called? Fraternity Boys?
Yes, I believe so.
Right. So or
like Sorority Boys or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So he did Sorority Boys right between this and Superman or Smallville. Okay, Percy with white hair, the bleach white albino hair, does not work for me. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. But I still love him.
Okay, so did you ever see Cursed, the Wes Craven werewolf movie he was in?
I love that movie, and it is not talked about enough.
Well, it gets a lot of criticism, and I am 100% behind why the criticism is there, but Wes Craven has even said there is a work print cut of that movie that is better than what you saw in theaters. And Wes told me that into my face when I met him in 2013, a year before he passed away. And I was just like, where is it? And he's like, I don't know. But there is a work print cut of that movie. I know it exists. And now, because of the Snyder cut of Justice League coming out, everyone wants to have the Wes Craven cut of Cursed come out.
Yes, I feel like we deserve that. The film deserves that.
Wes Craven's legacy deserves that.
Right.
And if you never met Wes Craven in person, Jesus Christ, one of the nicest people I ever met in my life, and just one of the just best filmmakers that never got the credit he deserved.
I would have loved to have been able to meet him while he was still alive. Like, I gave a speech in my public speaking class on him just so I could gush about how much I loved him.
Does this remind you of your most recent Tinder date that you were ranting about on Twitter recently?
I mean, honestly, I feel like this date went better than mine. As unfortunate as that is.
So
I mean, like, because even though this date kind of, it went wrong very quickly, like, at least you still got to date Joshua Jackson for, like, half a second.
The director of this movie, Urban Legend, would go on in 2001 to direct Valentine, another really good slasher movie that just came out from Scream Factory.
I love that movie.
Isn't it great?
It is. And I feel like that's another one that, like, people don't really talk about that much. And, like, granted, it's kind of like a hidden gem, but it is so good. Especially, like, if you love those, like, quintessential, like, cheesy slashers.
And I met Denise Richards, like, a year ago. She was in town. She was at a local convention, and I brought up to her Valentine. And she like, took my hand. She's like, thank you. Everyone loves Valentine, but nobody talks about it.
Exactly. Because it's like, when I think Denise Richards, I think Valentine. Like, that is, like, my most vivid memory of her.
But did you ever see Urban Legend 2 Final Cut or Urban Legend 3 Bloody Mary?
Yes. I enjoyed Final Cut more than Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary,
still, like,
the third Urban Legend movie is like the third I Know What You Did Last Summer movie. They went so off the fucking rails with that and started going into the supernatural. It was ridiculous because Bloody Mary and the Hookman became supernatural ghosts by the third film.
Yeah, and it's just so much better when it's like someone real doing these things, because it's like, as far-fetched as some slashers are,
So, this reminds me, by the way, of the episode of Supernatural with the Hookman. There's a kill like this in that episode of the Supernatural where they cover urban legends. But what were you saying about urban legends, real quick? I'm sorry, I just had to cut the microphone off because of some bad feedback.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Fuck, now like I lost my train of thought.
That's okay, and you can cuss and swear too because this won't be broadcast on the air like your upcoming interview would be. So
That's right.
yeah. Okay, so what other factoid? Oh, we haven't talked about our star yet. Actually, I totally forgot. We've been kind of like skipping around her. Alicia Witt. I don't know a lot about her. She is of course stunningly beautiful. And
I love her hair.
she's in Dune. If you remember Dune, the 1980s movie, which is coming out as a remake soon, and she was Nicole on the Exorcist TV series.
Okay. I also think she was in Twin Peaks.
The original or the redo?
I think when I looked it up, it was like the original.
Oh, okay. She was also in a TV series called Sybil. She played Zoe Woodbine. I don't know what that show was.
I know she's been in a ton of like Hallmark Christmas movies.
Right. Okay. So you're correct. She was on the original Twin Peaks, and that was her second role after appearing as Aaliyah in Dune, based on the science fiction novels. Dune was directed by David Lynch and screenplay by David Lynch. This is the controversial Dune sci-fi movie of the 80s. I want the soundtrack to this movie, but I don't know if it's available or not.
I am not sure.
Now, are you a Friday the 13th slasher film fan? Did you pre-order the upcoming Scream Factory box set?
No, I haven't done that yet, but yes, I am a huge Friday the 13th fan.
Let's see. Well, according to Google, there's only 6 tracks on the album, and it doesn't look like it's for sale. Let's go to allmusic.com. Yeah, it's a 6-track CD. Wow, that's a really small CD. 7 tracks. You can buy the CD. It's 75 cents if you want it.
Nice.
I feel like they're missing some music because there's definitely not 10, 5, 15, 19, 21. Oh, hey, here we go. Loretta. Sugar, sugar, sugar. Is that a bad black trope to have a black woman call everyone sugar, or do you think that was perfect for her character?
I feel like for her, it's fine. I think it's not like a bad stereotype, but it's definitely more common with like older people in general, especially if they're Southern.
Right.
Like the South. So that's a very common thing down here.
I used to live where you are, so trust me, I totally get it.
Yeah.
I went to privileged private school in Waynesboro, Virginia for 3 years.
And like I said, like I'm from like a small town in the South, so like, oh yeah, nothing but like, oh honey, and like darling, sweethearts, a lot of that.
I think I never had a problem. Let me rephrase this. Let me start over. I never had an encounter of any kind with racism coming up in my life to have to learn right and wrong about it. And I think that came from I had a black friend my entire life leading up to my teenage years, and then B, when I went to private school, there was no race. We were all in it together. If you were a rat brother, that was your rat brother through high school. And you stood by each other. White, black, Jewish, whatever. That was your camaraderie. By the time I was my junior year, I was like captain of my debate team. I had like the basketball players like showing up at my debate team conference cheering me on. and they were all African American, and they were like my cheerleaders or whatever to sit in on it because I was going to be leading the school in the the debate conference, so it was kind of a big
Aw.
deal, and I wasn't that much of an athlete or whatever, so and I was the football team's like scheduling manager and stuff, and the football team was mostly black, and I was like the one of the few white guys helping out in the football team. But again, we never saw that
Mhm.
as like a thing. It was like because we all started the school together, we were all in it together.
Yeah. And like it's kind of how it was for me. Like, yeah, like I
Michael Rosenbaum's clothes are
witnessed,
ridiculous in this scene, by the
huh?
way. I'm sorry. Michael Rosenbaum's clothes are ridiculous in this scene.
Like I was kind of friends with like everybody.
Good. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah, and even because like my friend group like was wild because like because I was friends with everybody, I was able to like mesh with like every group. So like I was the emo girl, but I was also a cheerleader. But I was also friends with like the country girls. I was friends with like I had like my choir like geeks. I had my like drama nerds.
Wait,
Like
are you telling
just
me
a
you
little
were
bit of
you
everybody.
hold on, you were an emo girl cheerleader? Like a goth cheerleader?
Yes.
I'm like kind of like falling in love with you.
Like trying to like hide my black fingernail polish behind my pom poms because we couldn't have we weren't allowed to have our nails painted.
And we have seen your pom-poms on Twitter, and let me tell you.
Because
Um
like even like in like because I've been a cheerleader since I was like 8 years old, and then I cheered like through school and then like in college. So like I just like in practice listening to my emo hits, getting ready for to start things up. I had like my tattoos out and whatnot. Thankfully, like we didn't have any like rules against tattoos on the squad.
I kind of want to buy the album, the collect the Urban Legends soundtrack. I just can't believe it's 75 cents, but I definitely feel like there's music missing from this.
Most likely,
The
they're probably like, let me just pick out like the most popular tracks.
the Encyclopedia of Urban Legends. How convenient! I found that.
Now, speaking of urban legends, I've talked a little bit about like some of the legends here. Do you have any legends from your town?
You mean Massachusetts, where we burned 17 witches? Yeah, a whole bunch of them. Yeah, we have a
Any
lot of
personal favorites?
we have a lot of urban legends, and it's not just Massachusetts. I'm connected to New England, so we have a ton of urban legends around here. Um, I'll look up some right now. So some of these I've gone over. If you anyone listening has checked out my podcast, Supernatural Creatures and Lore, you can find it on RadioHorror.com. We have the Hoosick Tunnel urban legend, nicknamed the Bloody Pit. This railroad tunnel runs between North America and Florida. Over 200 people died during its construction in the mid-19th century. Tales of spooky sounds and sightings in and around this tunnel have been circulating for 150 years. I guarantee that those people who died in the mid-19th century building this tunnel were probably not white.
Yeah.
We have the Black Flash of Provincetown. We have the Bridgewater Triangle. It's this 200 square mile area of Freetown Fall River State Forest in southeast Massachusetts where all sorts of spooky, weird stuff has occurred. We have, of course, one of my favorite makeout spots ever, Spider Gates. At night, it's the thinnest veil between here and the spirit world, and a lot of people go there to bring their dates to make out, drink, and smoke weed.
Of course. Like, why not go to like the local haunted spot?
We have the Gloucester Sea Serpent. We have the Route 44 Hitchhiker. We have the Danvers State Mental Hospital, where the film Session 8 was filmed, but has unfortunately been torn down, and fucking condos are there now. Um,
Nice.
we have the Treasury of Tenney's Grey Court Castle. And I believe that's it for Massachusetts. There might be more that I'm not 100% aware of, but we do have them. Okay, so she is using the early days of the internet. Because don't forget, this was filmed in 1997 for it to come out in 1998. And she is on, like, America Online chat room trying to get laid.
Right? Like nowadays she'd be like swiping on Tinder, trying to see who's on campus.
And did you see what she is wearing? She has a corset on, and I definitely saw cheeks in the back.
Oh yeah.
Look, right here, right? Am I
Double
not wrong?
cheek
She
out.
just is wearing underwear or something, right?
Yes.
All the love to Daniel Harris.
But I love how like almost every state has like that hitchhiker story. Like here, like near Greensboro, we have like Lydia's Bridge, which is like our vanishing hitchhiker story. And there's just a lot of things near Greensboro in general, especially since like most of downtown was built over a mass grave. So there's that.
So the nickname for Daniel Harris's character is Elvira, and of course her roommate is so used to her having loud, noisy sex that she thinks this is just her and her roommate and her boyfriend getting it on very rough, and she's like, nope, I'm not paying attention, it's okay, you two have your sex, not realizing
Right,
her
like
roommate
you
is
do
getting
you,
killed.
boo. I'm gonna go to bed.
Don't turn on the light. Whatever you do, don't turn on the light. And then in the morning, aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light? Which is an old, legend. The roommate comes in, and there's somebody in the room that's not supposed to be there, and he's like, whatever you do, just don't turn on the light. And she's like, okay, but you better be gone by, you're not supposed to spend the night, whatever, we can't have boys over. And then she, turns on the light the next day, and then written on the bloody mirror, as it is in the movie, is, aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?
Oh yeah, like I said, this movie just like fueled my love for like scary stories and things like that. Like I would remember like scouring like the internet, trying to like rent all the books from the library just so I can like find out more.
So the Blu-ray for this film has 2 discs. It has a commentary with director Jamie Banks, producer Michael McDonnell, and assistant director Edgar Pablos. And then it has a commentary with Jamie Blanks, writer Silvio Horta, and Michael Rosenbaum. And then it has a full-length documentary called The Making of Urban Legend, featuring new interviews with Jamie Blanks, Rebecca Gayheart, Loretta Devine, Tara Reid, Michael Rosenbaum, Robert Englund, Daniel Harris, and Silvio Horta, as well as executive producers Brad Luff, Neil Mortis, Gina Matthews, and more. Plus a new behind-the-scenes footage, archival making-of footage. There's a lot of bonus material on this Blu-ray, and of course it's also been upgraded to 1080p high definition.
Uh-huh. Sweet.
The interviews with Michael Rosenbaum are absolutely hilarious when he talks about this movie. He's in his studio for his house, which is where he does his podcast, Inside of You.
Uh-huh.
Where he goes, where as he puts it, allow me to go inside of you tonight with whatever, and he makes it a very like sexual innuendo, which is funny.
Uh-huh.
Dean Dickless over there.
Mm-hmm.
This has a 21% Rotten Tomatoes score.
Oh gosh. And like at least it's not like that bad. Like just 21%. It's fine. I know like one of the criticisms for this movie was like people felt like it was like too similar to Scream.
I mean,
But
not really. Scream is about 2
yeah.
guys who watched scary movies, so they decided they would take their love of scary movies and kill people after a
Yeah,
previous
it's kinda
crime where they
like-
raped and murdered the mother of the main character, Sydney.
Like their like biggest criticism was that like since they were kind of like self-aware of the stories, apparently it was really
Oh.
similar. And I'm just like, that's a reach if I've ever heard one.
So, the other movies that came out in 1998, would you like to know what some of them were? 1998 was a big year for movies.
Yes.
Okay, we have The Thin Red Line, The Truman Show, Saving Private Ryan, some fucking movie I've never heard of, Run Lola Run, There's Something About Mary, Patch Adams, A Bug's Life, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, The Big Lebowski, What Dreams May Come, Pleasantville, one of the sexiest fucking movies I've ever seen in my life, Out of Sight, Very Bad Things, American History X, A Simple Plan, Dark City, which is fucking amazing, Stepmom, one of my favorite Will Smith movies, Enemy of the State, Elizabeth, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, The Negotiator, Shakespeare in Love, One True Thing, the vampire movie that started Marvel's revolution in the cinema, Blade, Sliding Doors, Under the Sun, Pi, Deep Impact, Ever After, Apt Pupil, the movie that has a live-action remake coming out directly to streaming because of COVID-19, Mulan, A Civil Action, Godzilla, the movie with Matthew Broderick, the remake of The Parent Trap, the second sexiest fucking movie of all time, with the greatest lesbian scene ever in a Hollywood movie, Wild Things, starring Denise Richards and Neve Campbell from Valentine and Scream. I'm sorry, there's nothing hotter than what is it like? Is it Neve Campbell pouring wine all over Denise Richards' breast and like sucking it off?
Yeah.
Or is that Matt? Is
I
that Matt
remember
Dillon?
that scene vividly. We had Wild Things on VHS.
Was that Matt Dillon who did that? I forgot. Who sucked the wine off of whose breasts? I forget.
I think it was Matt. I think it was a mix of both of them.
Oh my god, that scene is so hot.
I think like out of that list, like one of my favorites is probably Stepmom. We had that movie, I want to say like on VHS, and I remember just like crying at the end of that movie.
Ronan, Babe Pig in the City, The Water Boy, Simon Birch, and Rushmore. So they start being like the Scooby Gang and putting shit together. The Massacre
Of
Bash.
course.
Did you have any kind of like theme like events like the one that she's pointing out in the back when you went to college?
Oh, like a party dedicated to like a massacre?
Yes.
No. We had like your typical college parties. Like we had our graffiti party, toga, things like that. But we did have like a couple of like not like spooky occurrences, but just like weird shit about our campus. Like I went to a small private college, and so we only had like 3 sororities and 3 fraternities. And the fraternities all had houses, but the sororities had their own like private floor on like in different dorm buildings. I found out on my floor, our floor was haunted because a sister died in one of the rooms on that floor. So my sorority had our own little ghost who liked to misplace things and play pranks on people.
So the top 10 highest grossing movies of 1998, and I'm not including Titanic because that came out in 1997, but it's listed as number 1. So the top 10, not including Titanic, is Armageddon, Saving Private Ryan, There's Something About Mary, The Water Boy, Dr. Dolittle, Deep Impact, Godzilla, Rush Hour, and Good Will Hunting.
It makes sense.
And in 1998, we also had, of course, Scream 2 and the X-Files movie, which we have just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to see what else came out in 1998 that's like at the bottom of the list. Oh yeah, like Rush Hour. It's considered one of the best movies, but it had one of the lowest grossing domestic box offices. I really wish Robert Englund had a bigger part in this movie.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
I feel like if there was a course like this at my college, I definitely would have signed up for it.
Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain came out in 1998. See, I want to get a Parker like that so I can be this killer. But how do you hide your face? Because they really hide the face of the killer very well. Until the end of the movie, it doesn't look like they're hiding her face very much.
Yeah. It's like, you know what? They know it's me now. It's fine. Like, my mom had nightmares about that costume.
Seriously?
Yeah, like she still won't watch this movie with me today. She had like a very vivid nightmare about this character. And it was one of those like out of body experiences. Like those nightmares were like you're in it and you feel like no one's around, like no one can help you. You're screaming but no one can hear you type thing. Yeah, it was wild. I tried to get her to watch it with me recently. I was like, "Oh, it's our favorite movie." She's like, "Nah, this is your favorite movie. I'm good." I think the only like one of the main lasting effects of this movie on me was checking my back seat
Oh my
religiously
god, me too.
every time I get into the car.
Every time. Especially if you haven't been someplace that you know you're safe at, like work or home,
Oh yeah,
and you've been away. Obviously, something, as a woman, be a little bit more worried about. Um, and that's not to be sexist, that's just, serial killer 101.
yeah, pretty much. Especially because like I think out of all of the legends mentioned in this film, that one is one of the ones that has like some truth to it. So just in knowing that, like everywhere I go, like even though like I know for a fact that my doors were locked, I had my alarm set. If anybody had have gotten near my car, I would have known it. Does not matter. I still have to check the back seat because I'm like, nah. I remember that bitch. They got her head cut off like at the beginning of that movie. It's not gonna be me.
She looks good in that top. Definitely looks better than Michael Rosenbaum did earlier with his tank top on and completely unbuttoned shirt and leather jacket. What the fuck is that look?
That's his cool guy look.
That's his douchebag look. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. I mean, okay. I get having the completely unbuttoned shirt, but the tank top on underneath it? What? That's unusual. She's swimming in a bikini. Usually they swim in a one piece, right?
Yeah.
Huh. Is that Tara Reid? Can't tell who that is because I thought that was Alicia Witt for a second, but
No, it's Rebecca Gayheart swimming.
oh, okay. Looks very good. That's like one scene, by the way. She only has one scene, and it's in a flashback for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She's basically sunbathing in a bikini on a boat, and then supposedly the rumor is, in the context of the movie, Brad Pitt's character killed her,
Oh.
but it was never proven.
But that's like such a flex, though. It's like, you think I was hot then? I'm still hot in this bikini. Check me out.
Basically, I'm so hot I can get Brad Pitt.
Right? This is basically like her villain or like origin story.
Now, was she the Noxzema girl before this or after this? Because they make fun of.
I think before this,
Okay,
and that's why they mentioned it in the end.
Yeah, or in the sequel.
Yeah. Well, no, like the at the end of this, they mention, oh, and Brenna's the girl from the Noxzema commercials.
Right. Okay, you're right. You're right. And that's why she looks as beautiful as she does.
Yup, that Noxzema.
Oh, here's the story of them driving like drunken idiots. Let me tell you how I murdered your boyfriend. Okay,
Right.
let's have our girl bonding moment before you kill me. This, knowing who the killer is when watching this scene, you're like, I would reach out and just strangle her if I was the killer. If I was the killer, people. I'm not saying I would ever actually do that, but in the context of the movie, if I was the killer, I would just kill her now.
Right, like if I was in her situation right now.
Have you ever done
And
this
it's
to
like,
somebody?
unless I had like personal vendettas with everyone else, I wouldn't have staged this like elaborate like mass murder where like I'm killing everybody, then I'm gonna save her for last. Like I would just go ahead and like murder her. But you know, we live for the dramatics.
We live for some bullshit. That's what we live for.
Right, like we can't just come after her like straight out. Like we have to make her wait and suffer.
Is that how you would do it if you were a serial killer, MIKAYLA?
I mean, I get, yeah, like, because I would have to, like, I live for the drama.
What would your outfit be?
Oh, man. I have no idea. I have to think about that.
Would you hide Would you hide your
I can't just out here, like, looking basic. Like, I'm built different. I have to look the part.
Well, I was going to suggest something. Have you seen Watchmen?
Yes.
Okay. You do what the Hangman Justice guy did. What's the name of the black superhero that is the hooded Justice?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you should do. Paint your eyes white, and then nobody will know it's you. Which I thought was very brilliant on that show.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, that is good writing. That's amazing writing. Nobody's gonna know that he's a black guy.
It's all part of my plan. They never like suspect me.
You just gotta,
especially in a horror movie. They're waiting for me to die first. They have no idea.
You gotta tape your chest down. Can you do that?
I'm like, I can try. I'm not sure.
Oh my god! Look at that! Sure look! Did you see that? Did you see that wicked young picture of Robert Englund?
Yes.
That's like Robert Englund from like V, like before the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right. Oh, he's such a baby.
So the woman in the swimming pool, by the way, the one that comes in the parka and it's all very slow and dramatic, her name was Roberta Angelica, and she was also in The Boondock Saints a year later, Relic Hunter, which was a TV series, The Hoop Life, played Trish. I think that's on the CW. And Soul Food. And her career kind of ends in 2008. The last thing she was in, she was an audience member in Repo the Genetic Opera.
Stop. Oh my god.
But this is this was her first movie. Oh, because it's Repo? Yeah, totally awesome. But she, like, her career kind of ends in 2008. Her career lasted like 10 years and then she just stopped. It looks like she's still alive. But this was her first movie playing Swimming Woman. So, okay, but hold on. Bad feedback. I got this weird problem. So, like, the cord that's connected to the switchboard to the computer causes some type of weird, like, sound. It's so aggravating or whatever. So, That's why I have to cut you off sometimes. But it says swimming woman. It doesn't say she's the woman going to go swimming or whoever that character was that met Rebecca Gayheart. So she could have actually been the actress in the pool. You know what I mean? Because they might not have had Rebecca Gayheart swim for safety and insurance reasons because she was she's a star. She's an actress. They don't always let you do that, especially for something like a pool that could be very dangerous. I'm not saying that she can't competently swim, but still. And there goes the dean. Oh my God, the tendons. He hated this scene, by the way. He hated doing this movie.
Really?
I mean, well, think about how old he is.
Yeah, bless his heart.
I mean, he died when he was 86 years old in 2011, so he is in his early 70s at this point, and crawling around on his hands and knees. Ow! Oh! That's a bad death.
Yeah.
So the special effects in this movie were done by Daniel Gibson, who also worked on X-Men, Total Recall, the remake, Resident Evil Afterlife, Frequency, the remake of RoboCop, Silent Hill Revelations, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, The Incredible Hulk, Zoom, The History of Violence, Dracula 2000, and so many more.
Okay, so he has like an extensive career.
Yeah, in fact, God, I should have had him on my show. He got his start in special effects on Friday the 13th, the TV series, which I've covered on my show, the Dead TV Podcast.
People don't talk about that series enough.
Are you kidding me? I'm going to shoot you an email right now, a message on Twitter of we covered every single episode of that show on my podcast.
Really?
Every single episode. We covered it and we even had John D. LeMay on the show, who played Ryan DeLion for 2 seasons, and we had the head writer on the show, the composer, and the director of a couple of the episodes, Tom McLaughlin, who also directed Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives.
Dude!
Rebecca Gayheart in that dress is just making me fall in love with her.
She is working it.
Oh my God.
But yes, people do not talk about that show enough.
Are you kidding? Oh my God! I will send you. You have to listen to my podcast.
Horror anthology series.
You have to listen to my podcast about it. We covered every episode.
I love it. I adore horror anthologies more than anything else.
Well, that wasn't really a horror anthology show, though. That wasn't like Tales from the Crypt. I mean, every episode was about them hunting down a different cursed object with the same cast.
Yeah, but that's what kind of gave it that anthology feel, because it's you get the familiarity of okay, I know these people. What are we doing today, guys?
Well, the biggest reason people
you go on this journey with them.
The biggest reason people don't talk about it enough is because of the name Friday the 13th. It should have been called Friday's Curse or something like that, because the show had nothing to do with what you think about Friday the 13th, and the only reason they called it that was because they wanted to market the name Friday the 13th because they had copyrights to a couple different film franchises, one of them being Friday the 13th and the other being Star Trek. So Friday the 13th, the series, and Star Trek The Next Generation, the series... title. Friday the 13th and Star Trek The Next Generation both launched at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, bitch, you stole my boyfriend! Oh no, you stole my boyfriend, and you murdered my previous boyfriend! You're definitely gonna get my axe now! That dress was not working enough for Jared Leto. I would have killed when I was 18 years old to have a girlfriend like Rebecca Gayheart. Are you kidding me?
Just underappreciated.
I could totally forgive her being a serial killer.
That could be said for many horror crushes.
Have you ever dated anybody that has killed somebody, whether intentionally or unintentionally?
That I know of?
So that's obviously a no. I have. I dated a woman. I dated a
No.
woman who killed um, her husband in self-defense.
Okay, well, it's self-defense,
Right,
so
right. And
it's
I have
fine.
dated a soldier before. She has killed people in war, but that's completely different.
Mhm.
That's justified. But yeah, I dated a woman who said that she didn't go to jail, but she did have to go to court, and she was held under suspicion of murder or murder to intent, but she got off of it because of the situation of domestic abuse, and
Uh-huh.
she killed her husband by accident. She does feel remorseful for it, but they were having she's like, it wasn't a completely one-sided domestic abuse fight. We both went at it, and it went too far.
Yeah, that's like a different situation though. Like it's a self-defense thing. Like she did what she had to do to survive. So like it's a lot different than like, oh, I just randomly dated a murderer. Like they just decide to kill people for fun.
Right. And then the woman I dated who was in the army, again, killed in combat. So
Yeah.
I love Tara Reid's costume. Do you know who she reminds me of?
Who?
What horror movie franchise was resurrected in 1998 starring Brad Dourif? Directed by Ronnie Wu.
Are we thinking Tiffany Valentine?
Is that Tiffany's last name, Valentine, from Bride of Chucky?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yes, she reminds me of Tiffany from Bride of Chucky. But the thing is, I think both films came out in 1998, but I might be wrong. But yeah, she has a very Tiffany-like costume on, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm seeing the vibes.
Oh, I'm seeing a
This is
lot of the
definitely something
vibes.
that like I would have worn. Like I definitely have that choker.
Oh, I'm sure you do. Yes, they both came out in 1998, so they couldn't have been copying each other if they were both filming around the same time, unless they happened to be
Yeah.
filming next to each other. But
It's just like a happy coincidence.
do you have that white dress?
I mean, most of my dresses are black, but I can definitely I can find a white dress.
Yeah, that's what you should
It
do.
doesn't
You
look
should
like
find the
her.
white dress. You should have like the black not trench coat, leather jacket. Really, you know what I mean? I think you would look effing amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't know who the blonde is with the bat, mask on, but I'm like in love with that whole look. She's just like a background extra. I'm just like, who is that girl?
Stealing the show.
And of course, Tara Reid. Oh my God, Tara Reid. Tara Reid would be in a little Ryan Reynolds comedy a year later. Van Wilder.
Yes, and I want to say like Tara Reid did all of her own stunts in this film.
Did she?
Yeah. And then, like they use like a real axe in that scene too.
Okay, so here's a part of the movie a lot of people have problems with: the death of the dog.
Yeah, I mean, understandable. Even though it is an urban legend.
True, but I don't get as bent out of shape over the death of fake animals in movies as much as some people do, and that's not to put anyone down who does, but no animals were harmed in the making of this movie. I can separate fiction from reality.
Oh yeah, this is nothing like Cannibal Holocaust, where we have like actual animal deaths.
Okay, so what's funny is I was looking up Tara Reid to find out about your what you were saying, and of course I'm finding a ton of pictures of Tara Reid with this amazing dress on, and she signs all of her pictures right above her tits to her fans in that photo.
I love it. I
No,
love that
sorry, not
energy.
above. It's like literally right on her breasts. She signs to her fans or whatever. I saw this photo on her table. She was like $50 an autograph, and I was like, I can't do that. But she was still not nice enough to talk to be able to let me talk to her. But she did have that photo on her table of her in this, dress bra thing, corset thing with her, cleavage hanging out and everything, and I saw her signing to her fans right on the breast because she was tapping it. She's like, "Oh, I like to sign them right here."
Me, I love that. I would have had to have bought one.
I
just
should
for that
have. I
simple
really,
fact.
really. Oh my god, that is a horrible death. That's disgusting too. The bleach down the throat.
Oh yeah, like I hate watching scenes where like characters kind of like gurgle or like they're being choked with something
But that's where you would
because it
have
just
her.
makes me feel like I'm there, like I'm the one experiencing it.
But that's where you would have her sign her autograph to you right on her chest.
Oh yes, because like that's where I would sign if I was a celebrity.
Did
It
I
has the most space, so like why not sign there?
did I show you the picture of that Tiffany I'm sorry, not Tiffany,
Jennifer Tilly.
Jennifer Tilly signed to me?
Yes.
Yes. I was very happy to receive that.
Oh yeah, like I feel like out of like Tiffany Valentine's one of those characters that kind of like made me who I am today. So I would have loved that. Like a lot of my aesthetic comes from Bride of Chucky.
Oh, that is a great shot with the axe. Awesome. Unbelievable. This, honestly, I think was one of the reasons I wanted to do a radio show one day. Of course, I did it many years later. Since this is 1998, I want to do a radio show now again I wouldn't do a radio show for 9 years after this movie came out, but I always thought about this movie, and Adrienne Barbeau's character in The Fog definitely influenced me wanting to do a radio show of some kind. And I do one now on Sunday nights, 10 p.m. to midnight, folks. You can catch a Radio of Horror. I play the horror music. I talk about the horror stuff. MIKAYLA will be on probably after this is posted online because I'm a little backed up in interviews right now. But definitely check out Radio of Horror on WCUW, 10 p.m. Sunday nights. Which a lot of people are like, I do a podcast, but you do like a real live radio show with a question mark in their voice, and I'm like, yeah, and they're like, that's really cool. That's really, really cool that you do a live, actual on the dial radio show. It's very, it's very pleasing for what you're into for horror movies, and I'm like, right?
Uh-huh.
No, not Tara Reid. She looks too good in this movie to die. I don't know.
Disappointment.
This reminds me of a little bit because of how unbelievably sexy she looks in this costume. Do you remember how Denise Richards died in the hot tub with the bikini on in Valentine?
Yes. And she's like, okay, like I know she's about to die, but let's just leave this lasting memory of just how hot she looked before she passes on.
Right? Denise Richards. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, like, if you're gonna go out in a horror film, like, that's how I'm trying to go out.
I think the most horrific death in a horror movie is from Jason Goes to Hell. The girl fucking her boyfriend, and then Jason comes up behind her and rips her in half right from between the tits.
Yeah. Oh god, like, I also just, like, I think of that scene in Terrifier where the girl is just, like, hacksawed in half from her vagina down.
Right. She's like,
have you seen that film?
Yes, I totally remember that scene. She's like split down the middle from her vagina to the top of her head. That is a horrific way to die if you're a woman. Even if you're a guy, both ways.
Right. Just like picturing that, like just the pain. And it's just like, oh god, like just everything hurts after that.
Jason did that to a guy in one of the Friday the 13th movies. I want to say it was part 2 or 3.
Uh-huh.
He split some guy down the middle from his crotch.
Of course he did. Like, I feel like if any villain was going to do that, it would have been Jason. It's like, you're going to use that thing for, for sexual activity? I think not.
In the comic book Hack Slash that I cover on Goth Girl Horror, the Hack Slash podcast, Cassie gets captured by the Black Flame Society, who are responsible for creating the slashers, through a long-winded origin story that you can check out the most recent episode to hear us explain it. They tie her up to a tree and throw a bunch of dildos around her and pot and beer, and she's like, I'm either about to get ready for the greatest gangbang of all time, or you guys are summoning a slasher.
Stop.
She says sex orgy or gangbang or something like that. But basically, she's like looking at the dildos, the condoms, the beer, and the pot, and she's like, "We're about to have one of the greatest parties of all time, and you guys are summoning a slasher."
It's like this can go either like one or two ways.
Yeah,
Either way, I'm here for it.
Because she's also stripped down to a like a sexy camper outfit with tiny, tiny shorts and a tank top. But in their defense, they didn't do anything inappropriate to her. They just, stripped her down and then tied her to a tree and then laid out the devices to summon the slasher.
Yeah.
So what's the word I'm looking for? An appropriate cult? They're a sensitive to her needs cult. I'm trying to think of the word because they don't do anything to Cassie like on a, bad. They just tie her to a tree.
Right, like this is not terrible.
No, you can tie a woman to a tree and it not be provocative or, something
unless it's
rapey.
Like the tree from Evil Dead, like
right? It's not like that.
For another, for something else.
So this is where she's trying to figure out, okay, who's the killer? Is it this guy?
Yeah.
Is it someone else? The rain machine in these movies.
Just insane.
The rain's glistening off my face because I use so much Noxzema it doesn't stick to me.
Like, that's just her natural glow. It's fine. Her super moisturized skin.
Funny, she was just out in the rain. She doesn't look wet at all.
She just dropped.
Hold on. The amount of water used in a rain machine for these scenes is like hundreds of gallons.
Oh, I can definitely believe that.
Now, the sequel, I don't think the villain had as cool of a look because he's in what, like a fencing gear outfit?
Yeah, it was just kind of It didn't hold like that same effect as seeing like the big ass winter coat did.
Who is the better killer? Rebecca Gayheart as the by the way, did they ever even name the killer in this movie? The urban legend killer, the parka killer?
I don't think so.
Okay, because like
nothing like I Know What You Did Last Summer and things like that, where like you kind of know them as like, oh, like it's the fisherman, it's Ghostface,
the Hookman.
It's
he's
just
called.
kind of that guy, that killer.
I love Me, I Know What You Did Last Summer. I actually did a commentary with that with my original co-host for Goth Girl Horror.
Really?
Yeah, it's a fun commentary. One of the last things she did before she left the show.
I love I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's like one of like the few films that's kind of like based in North Carolina.
Yeah, and I actually got to talk to Louise Duncan, who wrote the original novel back in the 70s before she passed away. We were planning on having her. We were planning on having her on the show, but unfortunately, she dropped dead of a heart attack in her kitchen in 2015.
Oh, that's so sad.
What does your counter say on your player?
Let me see. I just paused it. It says
don't pause it.
78, 52.
Okay, so you're a little bit ahead of me. So I'm catching up now. I'm at 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. Okay, you can play it again. So mine is now changing to 118.
Okay.
All right, so we should be synced up. I can imagine that covered in the rain, they dry off so fast.
Yeah, they do.
It's really jarring to notice. I mean, her hair still looks kind of wet, but not that
Yeah, like it
wet.
has a nice like curl, but that's about it. Like if only it worked like that in real life.
The only person you could possibly trust in this movie.
Right. Like so many red herrings.
It's really funny seeing him in this kind of role where he's playing this, like, you know, um, creepy janitor. After seeing him on Supernatural, the only thing I can think of him now is like a distinguished gentleman as Death.
That just like shows his range.
Oh, sweet. You want to just turn your volume down a little bit? It's definitely getting picked up.
Uh,
So you won't believe who I'm going to have on my show soon.
who?
Uh, famous porn stars Tabitha Stevens and um, Katie Morgan.
Really?
Yep, they're both in.
Nice. What's
They're
the
both.
episode?
They're in. What? What did you say?
So like what's the episode for?
Oh, it's they're gonna be on Radio of Horror. They're gonna be on for a movie that they're both in that Tabitha's husband directed.
Oh, sweet. That's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Katie Morgan. Let me tell you, I'll do my best to control myself and be very much of a gentleman. But honestly, the only thing I think I have ever seen her in that wasn't pornography was Kevin Smith's movie Zack and Miri Make a Porno. But Tabitha Stevens has been in multiple films or whatever besides adult work. But yeah, I mean,
Uh-huh.
her career goes all the way back to 1994 in the adult film industry.
Damn.
Um, Wild Sex Party 2, She's Got Milk, Planet X3, Planet X2, Frankenpenis, Doing Myself, Triple X12, Voyeur Strippers, Interview with Blonde Bombshells, You Can Be a Porn Star, You Can Be a Porn Star 2, You Can Be a Porn Star 3, The Erotic Traveler. I mean, the MILF Orgy 12, MILF Orgy Worship 11, MILF Mother Suckers number 3. I mean, these titles just write themselves.
What was the Franken one?
Frankenpenis.
Nice. That sounds like something I would watch.
Insert joke here. She's also in the official Friday the 13th parody. I definitely have to talk to her because I love that movie. It's basically like there's like a
I
couple.
love it.
There's a couple. They have sex and then Jason kills them. Then a couple has sex and then Jason kills them. And then a couple has sex and Jason kills them. And then that's basically the entire porno.
That's basically like an entire Friday the 13th film. I love that.
Oh,
I gotta add that to like my must watch list.
Oh, she seems so sweet too to want to come on. She's very like energetic about it in the email too. I've had Darcy the mail call girl from Joe Bob Briggs on the show. I had her on when she was just leaving the porno industry and becoming a B movie scream queen actress before she became Darcy the mail call girl. She's actually writing a book right now about her life as a teenage stripper, joining the porn industry, and then going on to be a horror movie icon.
Gosh, I would read that. I need to know like when it comes out.
Me too.
I'm excited for that.
And now she finds all the dead bodies. Okay, I gotta tell you right now, Rebecca Gayheart probably weighs, what do you think? 110 pounds soaking wet?
Probably.
Do you think in any way, shape, or form she could lift up a 6 foot tall Michael Rosenbaum, or the Dean, who's also a little over 6 feet tall, or any of these people? I mean, she's what, 5 foot nothing?
Yo, what we don't see is her like lifting hella weights in the campus gym.
Right, I'm
We
sure
saw
she
her
is.
life.
Okay, listen, we saw her not nude, but we saw her in a bathing suit. She's as skinny as a swimmer. She is beautiful, but she has no upper body strength. You're not gonna
That
make
is
and
until we see
nobody
like those
and nobody
behind the scenes clips of her like doing pull ups in the gym.
and nobody saw her lifting these bodies into the bell tower. Oh, I love her eyes in this part. I mean, she always has beautiful eyes.
Right.
Rebecca Gayheart has the most beautiful eyes ever. But in the scenes where she's like revealed as the killer, she's got like "come fuck me, kill me" eyes.
Yeah, like total crazy eyes, but you
Oh,
also
right
can't
here,
look
right
away
here, right here, right
because
here.
they're so
Look,
pretty.
yes, right here. God, oh my God, look at her eyes.
It's like, please don't kill me, but also like stare into my eyes.
I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Okay.
No, I gotta go take a cold shower. Like every time she opens her eyes wide, oh, it just. Whew. I've always wanted to meet her. I've always wanted to have an interview with her. I can't find her online or whatever. But you know what I have been doing? I have been
What?
going directly to people's actual Facebook profiles and sending them as professional an email as I can send them to ask them to come on the show. And it's worked a couple times. I've gotten some decent people who don't have any other way to contact them, and I've been like, "Hey, listen, your Twitter is like dead, or you know what I mean. I've gone to other links or whatever, and there's not a lot of most updated information. We'd like to have you on the show. There's Rebecca Gayheart in a bikini, and I want you to come on the show and talk about your whatever, and I've gotten a lot of great responses.
Oh yeah, because it's like, what's the worst they can say? No. So like,
Right.
why not just like get out there and like just reach out?
Or they direct you to their actual fan site to take those questions, and it's posted right on their profile saying, "Please do not contact me if we are not friends or family. If you are a fan or someone in the whatever, please use this link." And that's what I'm looking for if I can't find it on Google. And I found like 2 people to come on the show just by tracing through their finding out, "Oh, you do have a fan page." And I bought a picture, and then the person sent me an email saying, "Hey, we want to clarify what you've written on the picture." And I said, "Hey, I also do this show. I would like Yancey Butler, aka the Witchblade from the Witchblade TV series, to come on the show." And Yancey came on the show.
Mm-hmm. It's like the internet works in mysterious ways.
Exactly. So this is like after a few dates getting to know you, kind of typical Saturday night for me.
Oh, really?
No, maybe.
Just like some nice conversation, a horror movie in the back.
the rope comes out, the playing knives. I'd be like, hey, so what are you into for your kinks? Oh, you're into that? All right, let's do that.
It's like, no, wait a minute. I've seen this film. I know where this is going. I gotta go.
Again, all depends on what she's into as well.
Indeed.
You know, you gotta establish trust with the partner before you tie him up and break out the knives and, you know.
Exactly. Like there has to be like some like communication that happens
I'm
first.
like, hey, I'm all over the internet. I've hosted all these shows. I have this book published. I'm on the radio for the last 13 years. I'm definitely not gonna kill you. So let's just, you know, look me up and then you can trust me and we'll move past the formalities and, you know. And then someone said to me once, otherwise you're the most recognized visible serial killer then? I'm like, am I? Okay, her hair is out of control.
Yeah. It's like Hermione like film 1.
Ah, right in the gut. Side of the belly button?
Yeah.
Ouch. Ah!
Ugh.
That does not make me feel good.
Not at all.
Oh. Do you think horror movies are shot in a way to make, from certain angles, to make women look more sexy in certain shots?
Yes.
Okay.
In the same sense that like superhero posters,
Ow!
like Scarlett Johansson's gonna be looking like real double cheeked up versus like how they'll pose Tony Stark. So it's definitely in that same sense where it's like, all right, we're looking at them as like, okay, like she's a victim, she's a murderer, but also, ooh, okay, that waistline, them titties, like
Right. Do you think that
it's
they
definitely strategic.
do you definitely think they shoot from certain angles to have like the actress's breasts like point out in a certain a way or whatever to show the curve of them and not trying to be overtly gratuitous with what they're doing in an offensive way, but appealing to the male gaze, obviously, or women. You know, let's cover all our bases here. Women who are into women as well. A little bit more sometimes than men, because yes, I know for every time they have Chris Helmsworth with his shirt off, every woman I know is like, oh my god, Chris Helmsworth. But at the same time, in horror movies, which are targeted primarily usually at guys,
Oh yeah, I can definitely see it, especially like in that current time frame where it's like when you think of slasher films, you think of like hot women. So I feel like it was definitely a deliberate thing. It's like you got to hit all those angles, the most flattering ones.
okay. Yeah, I just happened to notice that. It's just like they're not showing Rebecca Gayheart spilling out of her top, or they're not showing her being like a lot of, you know, bent over positions or stuff like that. You know?
Okay.
But they definitely have it at certain angles where you can see like the complete outline of their body in their clothes. Even if they're fully clothed,
Mhm.
you can see the complete outline of how their butt looks or their breast looks or whatever. And I'm wondering, is that offensive or is that just maybe that's just an unintentional camera angle, or maybe they're trying to give us that little bit of sex appeal without overtly, you know, gratuitous amounts of cleavage and skin.
Yeah. Like it's not like an obvious like in your face type thing, but it's also like, ooh, okay, a little subtle booty action.
Does that bother you? Do you? How do you feel about that as a woman?
Like I guess at this point I'm a little desensitized. So like it doesn't bother me as much as like it would somebody else. Because especially like at this point, because like one of my favorite like subgenres within horror is slashers. So I'm used to like titties and ass pretty much. But it is like a little like it's like we can see how hot they are. Why don't you give me the same benefit for Jared Leto? I'm sure he wants to show off his cheeks too.
She is relentless. And again, I've never been bothered by it when it's not being ridiculous gratuitous. You know what I'm saying? I had a
Yeah.
film that I was going to be working on where we asked the actress, listen, you're a model, you do nude, partly nude, or nude modeling. We have a scene that we need you to gear down, but you're going to be completely covered and clothed, but you're probably going to have to be naked in it for the costume to work. And she was all for it. You know what I mean? Because we made a
Yeah.
point saying that like the only way this is going to work is like you get down to your panties and but also your bra, but I don't think the bra will work, but at least your panties, because we're going to bandage you up from head to toe. And she was like, oh yeah, that's totally fine. And your husband could do the bandaging, whoever can be involved or whatever. And she's like, no, I totally trust you, it's totally fine. But I'd also had a rapport with her and her husband prior to this, so that was a little easier than like sometimes I've encountered certain actresses that I've had to like, ask about. We got to develop in like costuming and stuff like that, and they got a little uppity about
Yeah.
it, and it's nothing that I needed to know for my own gratification. But okay, this scene right here, jock guy, black guy, weirdo pink shirted girl, nerd girl, hippie guy, the greatest types of a horror movie ever are in this one scene right here, and I don't know who any of these people are.
Yeah, they were definitely just like some no names. Like, hey, want to be in like this final scene?
But
Like,
look at what all
yeah,
they're
sure.
wearing too. The Sherbert shirt on the black guy, the blue with the blonde, that girl with the pink top on.
Yeah, but apparently like the ribbon around Rebecca Gayhart's neck supposed to be sort of like a nod to the urban legend about the girl with the green ribbon, and when you take off the ribbon, her head falls off.
Yes, I love that story. Thank you for bringing that up. Now, at the end of Urban Legend 2, she returns and picks up the killer from the hospital after he's been turned into a vegetable due to brain damage.
Yes.
And it felt like they were going to go into a third movie where the two of them were going to team up, and they never did. They went into that stupid Bloody Mary movie, which was really, really bad.
Yeah, it was really disappointing.
So, rewatching this movie, when was the last time you had seen it?
Not too long ago, because like I think I can't remember if it was Showtime or HBO, but they've been playing like old slashers and stuff like that. And so they had recently played Urban Legend.
I love seeing who is on the credits for these movies just to find out if there's anybody I either know in person or have had on my show previously, um,
Hmm.
and just to see if there's anybody in particular that I can hunt down to have on the show. Um, Sometimes it's a matter of like, oh my god, you were like the third key grip of this movie, and they went on to direct stuff. Um, which is a lot of fun. I've never had the director of Urban Legend on the show, but I absolutely would love to because he also did Valentine as well. And again, as I've said, that's a really fun movie. The writer of this movie is Silvio Horta, and I'm quickly looking up what they've done. They were also the writer of the TV series Ugly Betty, Jank 2.0, The Chronicle,
Okay.
and the second. Okay, so they're not the writer of the second Urban Legend. They're just credited for the characters because he obviously
Uh,
Rebecca Gayhart's character carried over. But yeah, P Valley. I don't know what that is, but that's a 2020 show. So I never watched Ugly Betty, but I do like the actress that's on it, America Ferrari.
Uh,
She's on that that Best Buy Walmart TV show. What's it called?
oh
She plays Amy, the store manager.
God.
I Don't Want to Wait, The Only One, The End of Sugar Man, I Know God, Tortured, Crop Circle, Love Roller Coaster, Zoot Suit Riot. So these are all songs on the soundtrack. Then there's the
Yeah.
score. The score only has a few songs on there. So that's what I found. I definitely want to find the soundtrack to this movie. Okay, so it was filmed in Toronto, as you said. But what was the name of the school? That's the only thing we didn't quite get, unless you found it.
The school that they filmed at,
Yes.
I want to say it was the University of Toronto.
Okay, gotcha. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us for this episode of Film Dungeon Commentary as we rant and raved about urban legend and a bunch of other cool horror movie stuff. You can find me every Sunday night at 10 p.m. on Radio Horror on WCUW or radiohorror.wordpress.com or the Radio Horror YouTube channel where you found this commentary. MIKAYLA, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at XOMikayla Instagram at XOXO and on Cryptic Rock.
Thank you, everyone. Check back in with me in a couple weeks or about a month or so. I'll have another exciting episode of Film Dungeon Commentary. And don't forget to check out the rest of the videos here on the Radio Horror YouTube channel.